With us on a Sunday night Peach State Power Hour. Paul Maharry is not here. I'm Dayne Young in for him, but Andy Stowe and Eddie from Acworth are here.
Here.
We have a lot to break down in terms of the Georgia Bulldogs winning over Florida, the Atlanta Falcons beating the Cowboys, which, man, if this was a show in Texas, we may have quite the call-ins from Cowboys fans, because I think that's getting a little frosty over there. So we can talk some Falcons here. I don't think we'll talk Hawks and Pelicans, though I'm ready if you want to.
Eddie will talk Hawks with you all night long.
I'm a Pelicans guy.
You mentioned the 2-0 start. We could go 3-0. Atlanta UFC pulled one out of their hanky last night. So there you go.
Got that.
In the playoffs, huh?
High school football's really approaching playoffs at this point, and the Atlanta Braves are already making moves. First of all, though, let's make sure we get a quick plug in here. Eddie, tell me about M. Jones Heating and Cooling, because you know more about them than I do.
No problem. You're going to put up their website, or we'll do that later in the show?
No, I'll do it later, but I just want to quick, give me 10 seconds on why they're a piece of this.
mjoneshvac.com. Go to that website. They can help you with, I'll say now, your furnace and heating issues, because it's starting to get cold, and Mama's already cranked on the furnace here, so it's going to happen across the nation soon, right? But things are changing in 2025. Prices are going through the roof because of all the government changes. Call Matthew and Michael. They run the company, twins there. Put in UGAsports.com, 5% discount on any new install, 10% discount on any repair. If you put in UGAsports.com, they are ready to help you with your HVAC needs, and we appreciate their sponsorship.
I'll bring up their website before we talk Atlanta Braves, because I want to make sure that we get there. That's a good way to do that. All right, Georgia beats Florida, and other than, I guess, Tuesday, the most divisive thing in the country is Carson Beck's play at this point of what is he capable of here. And we're going to break this down on Film Don't Lie in an hour. It was 3 interceptions, the last of which not his fault. I think we can all agree on that. Maybe you have to tuck it in and not let that become
that's one of those,
But, guys, it should have been worse. Mm-hmm. It could have been 5, 6.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There were at least 2 more on the board that he probably should have thrown.
Yep.
It is okay. I want to ask you guys, because I'm like, we all sit here and we say, and even Kirby in his post-game press conference, he said he looks like he's pressing. He's trying to make a play. So, and he's making these just terrible reads. He didn't make those reads last year, or did he get bailed out by those great players he had around him? I mean, something's off. And is he just pressing because he's worried that the wide receivers will not make a play, so he is trying to force stuff? Or is he just clearly not seeing the field like we thought he should be seeing the field, like we thought he was going to, being a 5th-year senior?
Y'all tell me what your group texts were like. Y'all may be more connected to Georgia fans than even I am sometimes. So what was the Georgia fan base thinking middle of the second quarter?
Eddie, how would you say that?
It was pretty much get Beck out of here and put in Gunnar Stockton. I mean, that was the general consensus, right? Now, I didn't say that. I don't think Andy said that, but that was what was going around. But I'm going to steal a little thunder from Film Don't Lie. Y'all probably bring this up. Brent Rollins put it out. His interceptions are coming on mainly first and second down, which I found absolutely fascinating, because you'd think a veteran quarterback would be pressing on third down to make a play, whereas he's pressing to make a play on first and second down. A veteran quarterback should think, okay, we'll just take the sack here. I'll throw it away. We got another down to live here. And he's not doing that. I was blown away by that statistic, Dane. It just, there's no explanation for what's going on here. That Carson Beck has taken a step backwards from what he did last year. I'm tired of hearing about 19 and Ladd and Marcus. I'm tired of that. Okay. We're 8 games in. Those guys aren't walking through the door. That crap is over. Okay. It is time now to get in sync with your wide receivers and figure this crap out. And I'll give you the fact that there are some complications going on with the wide receivers. Like that one quick throw he made was at the Dom. He made that read. I mean, Carson clearly picked that up and said, here we go. And the receiver missed it. So there's some miscommunication there. But some of the throws you talk about, Andy, he's just throwing into double coverage
double and
And
triple.
you can see it on TV. You're like, where is he going with this football? I just don't. Dayne, explain to me why Carson has taken a step backwards when he was supposed to be the number 1 draft pick.
Yeah.
Into the draft this year.
In some cases, it's quite literally that he's stepping out of clean pockets and putting the play in peril. And so I don't know what that is about. I mean, his pocket management has been incredibly poor this year.
But it wasn't poor last year, was it?
Not toward the end of the season, but at the beginning of the season, I don't think it was anything special. I mean, I still maintain it's why I was so bullish. Someone against him, like the first month of last season, there wasn't anything special with Carson Beck.
Right.
Like him making that leap 6 weeks to 12 weeks through a season, that was the unique, crazy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's why he got all the hype. It's like, oh, if he can do that, then what's the next step for this guy? And I think that's when people's imaginations went wild. The interesting thing, the pass that you're referring to, the quick throw to Dom Lovett, it looked like Dylan Bell was blocking. Same play against Alabama that was going to Arian Smith. That resulted in an interception.
Yep.
I think they mentioned that on
100%.
TV.
Yeah.
But they showed that he did the little signal with his hand. They showed that Beck did a little signal, and they said
Dom did it. Dom did it back, didn't he? Or did he not? Am I crazy? I thought Dom did it back. Maybe I don't know another play.
But either way, but yes, like so, if he's signaling to those guys and they're not picking it up, whose fault is that? I mean, you can't put that on him if he's signaling to and the wide receivers are not picking it up. I mean, is it a combination of the wide receivers not knowing their signals, or they're not able to see the signals, or is Beck not doing it where, like, do they just not know what they're doing is the question, I guess.
To me, ultimately, that comes down to quarterback in that situation. Just like when a quarterback performs poorly, people are going to criticize Mike Bobo. It's like, what's your job? To have your quarterback ready. And so I understand that element to it. But also, I went on the vent today, and I was telling people, look, if you're trashing on Bobo right now, then you're just going to trash on Bobo no matter what.
It doesn't matter.
Because he coached a masterful game yesterday, from what I could tell. When you lose your top playmaking running back, you're down to a true freshman and a walk-on at running back. You've had 2 receivers get kicked off the team for off-the-field stuff. And yet you still put up 453 yards, I think it was. In the last 2 games, Florida, against SEC opponents, was giving up around 330 yards.
Everybody hates Bobo. The ones that hate Bobo, they're going to hate him. And I got a message on Twitter earlier today about it, and I think it's a combination of Bobo. But again, if Mike Bobo has this perfect play and Carson Beck throws the ball into triple coverage, when there was a couple of times he was throwing those bad passes, and you had a guy wide open underneath. I think Paul sent a message. He was like, I think it was Arian Smith was wide open under when he threw that interception. He was like, Arian's standing there. And so it's like, that's not Mike Bobo's fault. And then if Carson Beck throws a perfect pass and they drop it, that's not Carson Beck's fault. So it's hard to say exactly how to pinpoint what the issue is, but there's definitely something off from the time they take the snap till the interceptions, I guess. So
do y'all have M. Jones heating and cooling plays and players of this game?
We do.
We do. Which one you want to go with first?
Let's go with the play of the game. And I'll tell you what we have.
Can I interject here before we move on to that, Dayne? I want to ask you guys a question. Andy was not there last night. I don't know how much of the show he listened to, but this was brought up last night. I found it very interesting. We were talking about game management, right? Which I know most people hate that term. Dayne hates that term.
I don't hate it. I just don't think that's what Georgia is right now.
Right. This was what was brought up mainly by me, Andy, is that it seemed to me during the game, he was, I don't know if instructed is the right word, whatever, but he became a game manager because at the beginning of the game, he was pushing it, trying to go downfield, et cetera, and you made a great point. He hits Cash Jones at the beginning of the game. It's probably a different game, but he didn't, right? He missed that pass. Yeah. He was wide open. So as the game progressed and he threw those interceptions, it seemed to me they were throwing more tunnel screens, checkdowns, et cetera. Do you think now that Kirby is telling Carson Beck, we got to dial it back a little bit? You're going to be, he's not going to say game manager, but you're going to be less of trying to go downfield and make plays downfield because you're not getting it done.
You mean in the second half? Because they were taking.
No, I mean going forward for the rest of the year. I'm not talking about the second half.
You're talking about.
They did that. I'm talking about going forward for the rest of the year.
Well, if you do that, you're gonna get ran out of the the stadium next week if we're just dunking and dinking the whole thing. You've got to stretch, because then if we're dunking and dinking right there in inside the 5 to 10 yard range, those safeties are going to be playing right there with the linebackers. You're going to have no run game whatsoever, and passing game, they'd be happy to let you get a 2 or 3 yard, and then you get more interceptions because they can break on the routes that close. I can't imagine doing that. You've got to take shots. You've got to stretch the field.
Okay.
I also think it has to do with what the receivers do best. And to me, Arian Smith being a game breaker is always something the defense is worried about.
Sure.
So if you start dinking and dunking with Arian Smith, you're probably not getting the best Arian Smith. And this is the best we've ever seen him.
This is the best he's ever
no doubt. No doubt.
Now, Dylan Bell, you want to dink and dunk with him. You want to get him in the backfield. Let him be Cordero Patterson, which is the comp that I keep making to him. Even Lovett, I think, is best that intermediate 15 yards across the middle.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous. It's especially dangerous right now with Carson Beck. I may feel differently, Eddie, if you had a Darnell Washington on this team.
Yeah.
If I said that there was an edge blocker.
If you had Colby Young, right?
I don't know that his blocking was to that capability.
Yeah.
Now,
you're
in
talking
terms
about
of receiver height
perspective.
and catch radius,
Okay.
gotcha.
Yeah.
But
that's what I was talking
I'm talking about who are the differentiators in blocking here.
Yeah.
Because the best thing you can say for the last month is, hey, Urosic's getting better at it.
He is. Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to scare anybody.
No, it's not. Yeah. And Eddie, I see your point. I get it. You're saying safe throws, not throwing 15, 20 yards down in the middle.
Or picks.
Yeah, I understand. But again, that's one of those things. It's like if we become that close to the line of scrimmage, we're going to get just completely ran out of that stadium next week. So with that being said, Dayne, and I want to ask you this. Let's say Carson Beck plays as poorly the first half next week. 1, does Georgia get completely housed? And 2, would Kirby make us a change?
Wow.
I don't think a change is coming.
I agree.
Okay.
100%.
If it would have, I think we would have seen it by now.
Mm-hmm. Andy, do you think a change should have been made in the Florida game?
I don't see practice. So I do not know what's going on at practice. But I do believe, I know a lot of people want to harp on Kirby's, like he's mismanaged, with quarterback, and he has a lot in the past. I agree with that. But if we had Joe Montana sitting on the bench, we're going to play him. And Kirby, they see practice every day. We don't. They see film every day. We don't. So I think if we had somebody, if Stetson Bennett, just, we saw a change several years ago. If Stetson Bennett's on the bench, yes, but I don't think we have that on the bench. So no, I don't think it wouldn't have been a bad idea to get a spark. But again, it's like, who's going to give you that spark? And obviously,
also be fair to Beck here too, because one of the things that I think that is lodged there in Kirby Smart's brain is second half Alabama.
It is.
That he gave you a shot and he came back and got the lead.
That's very
good.
He
looked amazing in that game the second half.
Right. So there's enough bad that you're like, oh, we have to think about this.
Yeah.
But if you're down 10 points, he's the guy you want to have the ball.
He is. Yeah.
But I will say this, and I said it last night, Andy, I'll repeat it. Florida was the game against a third-string quarterback where you clearly are going to win the football game. If there was any time to get Gunnar Stockton et al. In the game to make a switch, that was the game. And they didn't do it. So that says Gunnar Stockton, Rashada, Puglisi, they ain't ready. Kirby does not trust those guys. So it's Beck or die. That's what it is right now. And
I think that's why we're seeing Kirby's press conferences. So I think he did great. I think he managed this. He came back. If it's not, I think they are putting him up on that, on that top rung because they know he is what we got. There's nothing else behind it, which
we listened to the press conference today on the way to church, Andy, and my wife was in the car and she said, he's going to defend him to forever, isn't he? He just is. And that's what he does because he knows this is it. We got to ride with this guy, whether you like it or not. So,
I mean, he says that Nate Frazier is immature. And
which is right.
It was an immature play. I'm not saying it wasn't. But I would also argue the way that Carson Beck was kind of sulking on the sideline.
Yeah, looking like a baby.
A little immature too.
Yes. Yeah. That crying and that body language of a quarterback is as important as throwing 70 yards. And every time he would come off, and I was watching it with my dad, and he was like, what is wrong with this guy? Look at him. He looks like he's crying. He was like, what? And he's just yelling at the TV.
You know what it reminded me of is the Quinn Ewers Arch Manning thing saw.
Very much.
He looked like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I was like, thank God that's not a GIF now, because that would have been if we lost the football game. We didn't, thank goodness. But I don't know. It's just, it's inexplainable. I can't wrap my brain around how this guy has regressed as much as he has. And maybe there's a game, maybe it's next week, where we're like, wow, this is what we've been. Didn't we do that with the defense up until the Texas game? We all said, where's the defense? Where's that defense? And then boom, at Texas, we were like, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. Now it regressed a little against Florida because 13-11 didn't change the game like we thought they would. But maybe Carson Beck next weekend goes out there and balls out. And we're all like, there it is.
It can happen.
Yeah. That's the way this team is. They're so schizophrenic, right?
Yep.
You're going to hear a lot of comps to that before Texas game.
Yeah.
Just the way things felt that week and the doubt and everything. I don't know that it's going to get to that extent because Ole Miss is not a number one undefeated team. But one thing I'll tell you, this is a tougher task than Texas. Because Jackson Dart, and I'm not a Jackson Dart believer historically. I mean, Georgia shut him down last year. He couldn't do anything.
Yeah, they did.
This year, that guy's playing some good ball, and he's not turning the ball over. If Georgia goes in there and has 2 turnovers, it's going to lose against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
This has to be a clean performance.
Yeah.
I mean, Jackson Dart went stupid yesterday, 515 yards, and he rushed for 41 or 47 as well. So, I mean, that's...
See, I don't know this. I'm sorry. Is Jackson Dart the kind of guy that's like a Carson Beck type of runner, or is he more... No, he's faster than that. He's faster than that. But
he's going to...
But he's not Jalen Milroe, obviously, right?
No.
But I mean... Okay, that's a bad Cam Ward. Is he like that, or
he may end the game with 30 rushing yards, something like that?
Okay. But so he's going to pick up 8 yards when it's third and 9.
I don't think he'll have a lot of design runs outside of the red zone, perhaps.
Okay,
yeah.
So they're running an RPO. You kind of ignore him.
I wouldn't say fully ignore.
Yeah. Fully, okay.
But he's not Haynes King either.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
He's not the guy you're going to focus on when it comes to running, but he can tuck it and go. He's I mean, almost kind of like Aaron Murray is in that way. He's not like super fast. Matt Stafford, they weren't like crazy fast, but they could run if they wanted to.
I would say it's maybe like if you were just asking me to equate running ability, maybe something like a Peyton Thorne, to where if it's there and he can go get 70, it's possible.
Yeah.
But you're not building an
But you're not having to soft blitz him. You understand what I'm saying? You're not having to do that. Okay.
Primetime Dog with a super chat here says, Buster Faulkner in his exit from the quarterback room, that was over a year ago. Who's the quarterback's coach? Mike Bobo is the quarterback's coach. He does have help in there. Montgomery Van Gorder is his right-hand guy. So that is the son of Brian Van Gorder. Long time Georgia fans will know that name. He still looks exactly the same, I think. And last I heard was potentially coaching high school down in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yep.
After multiple stops in multiple places for an entire career. His son, Montgomery Van Gorder, is very valuable at Georgia, both in recruiting, but then also with quarterback coaching.
Hey, appreciate the $5, Primetime Dog. That helps Paul Maharry get a better house. So thank you very much.
Brandon Streeter is also in the room.
Yes.
And he's not necessarily on quarterbacks. I think he's more tight ends, but he has experience doing that as a play caller at Clemson. Take that for what it's worth, because I know a lot of Clemson people will say maybe Streeter is part of the problem. I don't tend to think that way, but Clemson has its own set of issues right now.
Yeah, they do. They
do. And Andy, my phone was blown up last night because he's up there, Northeast Georgia. He's around Clemson people. He was loving that.
I love it. Yeah, I know.
He said, "Screw the strength of schedule, beat down." I love it, and I think that's great.
Eddie, you'll love this. My brother is an LSU fan, and after the Texas A&M debacle, second half, bought nosebleed tickets for South Carolina and Texas A&M, and he wore his LSU stuff up there.
That's so great.
And said it's going to be the hate tour until they lose.
Can we just give a second to South Carolina and give credit to that stadium? Thank you, Lord. We don't have to go there or even play them, but go there. My goodness, that stadium That stadium is one of the best in the nation.
Yeah.
Unbelievable atmosphere last night. They were going bananas, and good for them. That was awesome.
They killed Texas A&M.
Oh my gosh.
How bad are they going to be Clemson?
You knew it was coming, Andy, didn't you? With Marcel Reed coming in last weekend, and it was the perfect scenario. And everybody's like, oh my God, we found our quarterback. He played a half against LSU, who was not prepared for it, went bananas. Everybody's like, oh, it's the coming of Jesus Christ. And he got shut down last night, didn't he?
Yeah.
That South Carolina defensive line is pretty special.
Oh, yeah.
Those are guys Georgia wanted, yeah.
That would be a bear to play against. Now, the thing with South Carolina, and y'all seen this year, totally plausible they can go to Nashville next week and lose to Vandy.
They can.
Yeah.
They can.
Yeah, absolutely they can. Yeah.
Like a team that like really gets hyped up on the juice like that, because as great as a home atmosphere as that is, Eddie, Ole Miss went in there and destroyed them.
I know. And,
like,
and there's another one.
Competitive.
Thank goodness we don't play Vandy this year, right? I want no piece of Vandy this year.
Pavia has now beaten Hugh Freeze 3 years in a row.
I have that on my notes, Dane. You stole my thunder.
Okay, yeah. I know we're not an Auburn show, but I got to ask, how long does Hugh Freeze stick around down there?
They're in the middle of 2 buyouts already. Are they still paying Gus?
Yes, they are.
Yes,
they are.
Yeah, good for Gus, man.
Man, there's some crazy. I don't know. They can't seem to get it right down there.
Coach Donnan was saying yesterday they did something with Freeze's contract where he would not get more than $4 million at a time per year during a buyout. So I think that someone wised up and said, at least they can manage to get rid of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, you're already hearing some of the names that will be coveted out there. Signetti at Indiana.
Yeah.
Like, people are going to want him. The one that I keep hearing is John Summerall, who was at Tulane and was at Troy the year before. If Kentucky decides to make a move, Summerall will be their chosen, because he played at Kentucky. Now, that would be crazy if Kentucky essentially blocked Mark Stoops from going to Texas A&M, and then they want to get rid of him.
Now they got to pay him to get out. Yeah. They had an easy out. That's the thing. Sometimes like that, you let them go. So
it's college ball, isn't it?
It is.
That's a them problem, as we like to say, right? Not our problem.
Let's just do these at the same time. Play the game, player of the game, brought to you by M. Jones Heating and Cooling.
Eddie, go ahead.
Okay. I'll go with play of the game. The third down play to Dylan Bell. Do y'all remember that right on the goal line? I think we were down 7 at that point. That should have been a pick to what you were talking about earlier, Andy, right? That guy was right there in front of it. Fortunately, it was tipped. Dylan Bell makes a great catch right on the goal line. And I think within the next few plays, Frazier runs it in and gets that penalty, but he scored a touchdown. And if Dylan Bell doesn't make that conversion, I see another field goal there. The game could have been totally different. So Dylan Bell, I mean, what a play right there. And by the way, you know what Nate Frazier was doing, right? I'm not saying it was warranted, but you know what he was doing. That was a Todd Gurley shout out, because he did the exact same thing. Boom. He did the exact same thing Gurley did, and Gurley got flagged for it as well. So that's what he was doing. And if you watch the replay, I think it was Urasek or Delp. One of them is trying to grab his arms to keep him from doing the throat slash, and he still did it and got the 15 yards. So young, stupid kid doing stupid things, but whatever.
Ultimately, like you weren't totally disappointed, right? It was Florida. Like there had to be a piece of you that was.
I loved it. Yeah, screw Florida and the mule they rode in, right? Yeah.
Play the game, Andy.
Well, Eddie actually took my play of the game.
Well, as you ponder another, I'll tell you what the film don't lie play of the game is, and it is if Arian Smith is not found for that first down,
that was going to be mine.
4 or 5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And Kirby Smart said this as well. That gets a little dicey at that point.
Hey, you know what, Andy? I'm sorry. You take mine. I wrote down the wrong thing. I apologize.
Okay.
That's my fault. That's totally my fault. I don't know. I just copied that. That is totally my fault. So
copy and paste. That's all right.
Yeah, I did. I
will say,
screwed that up.
My player of the game, though, my M. Jones player of the game was Dylan Bell, because that carry he had, that 33-yard carry, that was huge in the game. And then of course that one play was it was kind of the game changer. He had 4 catches and a carry, so he had 83 yards in the game. Like, he's my player of the game.
Well,
Andy,
take mine,
such a good
Andy.
teammate. Just roll with the punches there.
Yeah, take mine, Andy.
Well, I was like, why is he reading my notes?
I don't know why I did that. I don't know.
Go ahead, Eddie.
Paul would call you an old man right now, but I'm not going to do that. Paul would.
That's okay. I am an old man. I'll be 55 in January. I'm proud of it.
Not old at all.
Come on. I feel old. It's depressing, actually.
Who's your player of the game, Eddie?
My player. Let me see if I can take
Who's Andy's player of the game, Eddie?
Yeah, exactly.
Nate Frazier. I know he doesn't have that one. I got this one right? He's 19 of 82, 4.3 average, 2 catches for 7 yards, and a TD. And my favorite thing about all of this is he had to step into a role he wasn't ready to do with ETN out. And the biggest thing about all that was ball security, because I've been hearing rumors he's been fumbling in practice. True or not, I don't know, but he did not lose that football one time. And he ran. That guy, when he runs violently. That's what I love about Nate Frazier, right? He just has that it factor when he runs a football. Yeah. I was so proud of the way he played. It was awesome.
Yeah. And another big play of the game was the muffed kick. When they snapped the ball, that was a big play.
That's what I was supposed to say. So sorry.
That was a big play. So, but hey, both plays were both huge in the game. So yeah. And the Arian Smith play. I mean, last week, Arian Smith versus Texas, he seems like to come up with a play every game. So looks like he's taking his game to the next level.
Marshmut says that you're older than Bill Shanks.
By 2 months. I was born in January. He was born 2 months after me, and he continuously calls me an old man, which is ridiculous. So screw Bill Shanks. How about that? And Florida.
Wow. Just taking out the whole Golden Isles.
That's right.
We're at it. Yeah, I'm with you. Home and home. That's what I want. I don't really care.
Dane, do you have a player playing the game you want to contribute here?
I mean, Cash Jones did a lot.
I knew it. I knew it was coming.
And I'm actually going to break out a term. I'll give it to you here. We're going to call it the cash back, which is if Cash is lined up on a backer, get it to him.
Yeah, they can't catch him.
Happened twice in this game. One is like he goes about 3 yards looking like he's going to cut in. He cuts straight to the sideline. Beck hits him instantly. The other is the kind of inside slant. So I'm calling that the cash back. And there's no limit to how many times you can get cash back anymore.
Well, that first, at the beginning of the game when Beck missed him, if he hits him, that's an easy score. Yes, he is so good on that. If we hit that play, if I think Georgia beats them by 5 touchdowns. It just seems like when we miss those big plays, it changes our whole momentum. So yeah, no, Cash Jones is special.
Dane, let me ask you a question about him. In your film Don't Lie, y'all probably talk about it. Are they putting Cash in more often on pass pro because Nate's not as good at that, or are they're not concerned about that?
The whole year he's been in on pass pro, even
right. But I'm saying the Florida game specifically. Was he in there on pass pro?
They used him more in that. When the second ETN goes out, you just have to use him more anyway. We were sitting there on the watch along show and being like, this is a tendency breaker to see Cash in on first down. Yeah. Usually he's the third down specialist to give you a guy to.
And he's in there because of pass pro, right?
Pass pro, but then also when he can leak out to catch a ball, because
gotcha.
That's the two things that he does best. And now you didn't see him maybe one carry between the tackles. That's not his game. He's not going to be great at that. And so again, Mike Bobo, know your personnel. How do you manage that? After the touchdown, I have to wonder, Dwight Phillips getting a little run maybe?
He looked explosive.
It was one play.
And Kirby was asked, I don't know who, is Dwight Phillips even traveling with the team? And they said, yes, he is. And they put a package in for him, and it worked out. Good for that kid. And by the way, Kirby said he's one of the most liked and respected players on the entire team. He said that in the post-game press conference. How that was when he scored, I was like, who the hell is 20? I had to look at my roster. I was like, holy crap, that was Dwight Phillips. That's so cool. 1 carry, 1 TD for Georgia. I mean, that is so cool.
Yeah. Well, I thought, saw Chauncey Bowens kind of stretching on the sideline after the Gator chomp and all that. So I thought Bowens was about to come in, but then I think it's maybe getting a little interesting on that depth chart. So, but I guess have they said anything about ETN? I know Kirby was asked in his press conference. He said he's fine, but I wonder how Kirby, you never know what Kirby's saying. So
I would say if he's saying he's fine, he's fine. If he was hurt, he'd be like day to day, right, Dane?
I never know. To be honest with you, I'm not gonna like prognosticate on that because I never know what's factual with that.
Okay.
I will say it seems like Georgia has been accurate to what it puts on the injury report.
Yeah.
So if you don't see ETN on there, consider him fine, ready to go.
Okay.
Well, I got a question for you guys. So the Dogs are number 2 in the AP poll, and the playoff ranking will come out this Tuesday. Where do they end up at?
Who's first?
Let Dayne go. Where do you think they come in at?
I mean, my question is, what are the ratings on that show on Tuesday, considering the other polls that will be coming out?
Yeah, I know.
Isn't that also
that's a bad night to do that? They
it's
should
the
be doing
NFL
that.
trade deadline too, and I'm like,
Yeah,
NFL,
that's right.
Geez.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so tired of political text. I'll be watching that, just getting away from me,
bro.
I don't even. I'm at the point like whoever wins. Stop texting me.
You know what? You know what's funny? I'm not getting political here, but my wife and I said we're so sick of seeing the ads during college football.
Yes.
I said next Saturday it's going to be over. We don't have to watch this. And she said, "You know what though? It could be disputed. Something shenanigans, whatever. It might extend, and we might still see the ad. So it could go on in perpetuity."
We want to see swing passes, not swing states.
Exactly. Here you go. That's what I'm sick of that stuff. So yeah. So where do you think they come in though? Yeah.
I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to rankings. I'll say 4.
Yeah. I was going to say 4 or 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
I think they come in at 3. I think they'll come in behind Oregon and Ohio State. I think Ohio State beating Penn State gives them the nudge above Georgia. But
why though? Why do you think that?
Because that's happened.
We both have one. We both have one loss. Though.
Georgia's best win is better than Ohio State's best win.
It is, but recency biased. It happens.
What about Miami? Do you think Miami deserves to be ahead of Georgia at this point?
Miami will be ahead of Georgia.
You think?
Yeah. That's kind of what I think. Now, Indiana, they're not going to put them up there. But Miami, I agree with you, Dayne. I think
now,
so
if Alabama was undefeated, yeah, Georgia would be right there in the mix toward the top. But Alabama losing to Vandy doesn't help things. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. I hope
Where do you think, Andy? Where do you think?
Well, that's what I was thinking, 3. But 3? I hope we come in at 5. I hope we come in or 6. I hope we're low. I want some.
Does that really matter?
I think it does because you hear Kirby talk about your whole network said we suck, and they go out and
he plays it off. He's like, I don't know anything about that, and then at the end of the game, he knows everything about it. So
they don't pay attention to media until they do.
Kirby knows everything that comes in. So. Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to let y'all transition to Falcons Cowboys real fast because Roddy just texted me and said my audio's low. So I was going to try to do this just with like my normal MacBook audio.
Okay.
So then let me go actually be professional and get my mic.
Sounds good. All right. Well, Eddie, so the Falcons, they did win today 27-21 versus the Cowboys. What did you see in that game? I mean, is this a big game for the Falcons because they were able to get the win versus a team that was kind of have their back against the wall?
Oh, absolutely. Andy, it's the NFL. Every game is big. I don't care about injuries. I don't care about how bad you are. I don't care about your record. It's the NFL. Every weekend is huge. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago we were going into the Seattle game? Oh, we got this, right? Seattle's not a very good. They whipped our ass, okay? Yeah. So it's every week. I am so proud of the way this football team is playing, and thank you, God, for Kirk Cousins. Okay. Kirk Cousins is an absolute stud. It is so fun after 4 years of being in the desert, wandering around, where's our quarterback play, watching this guy operate. And he's not mobile, Andy. We know that, but he can move around in that pocket. And he did that today several times, knowing the rush is coming. He makes a little flick. My favorite play was that little flick he made to Bijan, and he hit that slant where Bijan took it up the road. He was about to get sacked right there, okay? And I just love the way he plays football. It's unbelievable. Now, the defense has still got issues, right? They still can't get after the quarterback. How many times did we watch them right there on Dak? They got him, oh, he's out. Or they got him, and he makes a throw. I mean, still drives you crazy. But Andy, this team is 6-3. Would you have taken that in July when we were talking about this football team?
Yeah, because
Hell yeah, you would have.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I thought at best they would be maybe 5-4 or 4-5. I just
5-4. No way. You predicted a losing record.
Yeah, I thought I said
based
it
on the
best.
schedule,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, come on, 4-0 in the division. We're in the driver's seat, 6-3, and the Saints lost today to Carolina. They lost to Carolina.
Not only are they losing, you're seeing former players, you're seeing somewhat current players kind of begin to trash on Derek Carr and Dennis Allen, seeing all the things that I saw that removed me from the fandom of the New Orleans Saints. What a trash little franchise for the last 2 years.
Yeah, and I'm loving every second of it.
I did see that they said Carolina, their coach said that it's possible that that Young will be back starting again next week. So,
but I found it really strange. By the way, Andy, I sat there and watched the Falcons game calm because we were in total control of that game. Total control. I mean, even up to the end when they scored a touchdown, I was like, it's fine. But I just found it so weird how similar this was to what we watched yesterday with Lagway going out, and we watched Dak go out. Dak get hurt with a hamstring, right? And he's out. So we got a third string quarterback in there for Dallas. CeeDee Lamb, God bless that kid. I mean, he was trying to play, but he just couldn't. He was hurt. So, I'm not going to listen to their excuses. That's part of football, right?
Yeah.
And they took advantage of it, and that's part of the game. But it's just so funny how those similarities came out. Starting quarterback out, we take advantage of it, we win the football game. We'll take it all day long.
Yeah, well, like Tuesday is the trade deadline, and like you mentioned earlier. So is there some? I mean, is Azeez Ojulari? I know he's available, and I did see that they were saying that the Falcons are reportedly talking to them. What would you give up? Would you give up anything for him? I mean, at what point? How high would you go with a draft pick? If they wanted a second round pick, would you take it? Is he worth that?
Asking me, or are you asking Dayne?
Both of you guys.
I'm not a Falcons fan here, so don't ask me what assets I would trade for him.
Okay.
Well, the Falcons are going to screw the draft up regardless, so I don't even care about draft picks anymore.
Right. That's what I was getting ready to say. I mean, we drafted Kyle Pitts at 4. He was on a milk carton today. I think he had 1 catch for 7 yards. Okay. I mean, come on. So you could give away all the draft picks for all I care about. That's an exaggeration, but do you know how many sacks Azeez Ojulari has for the year this year? He has 6.
Yeah, it's a lot.
He has 6. Yeah. You know how many the Falcons have as a team?
How many did they get today?
They have 6.
Okay.
So you're saying yes, go get them.
Oh, come on. That's an upgrade, right?
Well, the other thing, I just think that you make the play to improve your roster. You need to go as much as all in as you can, knowing that you drafted Penix with a first-round pick in this scenario with some other players that probably would have been more helpful. That may end up being smart one day. It isn't right now for the context of this season. But Kirk Cousins is the age that he is. Bijan Robinson takes a lot of hits, and you need to capitalize on him in his youth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a division that's ravaged by injuries. I think this division would be very tight if the receivers in Tampa aren't getting hurt. That's the way that Baker Mayfield's been played.
100%.
With them being hurt, the Falcons are by far the favorite. And frankly, they should win this division. If they don't, then something's collapsed. Right. So then you just you have a path to playoffs, and it's not going to get better for Kirk Cousins in future seasons. So go hard now.
I agree. Yeah, you got to go all in right now.
That was kind of my point, is the Falcons and blank, etc., told us basically we're all in right now to win now with the Kirk Cousins signing, right? 180, 200 million, whatever it was. We pushed all our chips in the middle. We want to win now. Okay, well, what's the biggest deficiency on this team? What is it? Defensive line, getting after the quarterback. Judon, we thought, was going to be that guy. He keeps getting swallowed up. I don't know what his problem is. I mean, he's trying like hell, but he's not getting to the quarterback. So the one deficiency, Arthur, is getting after the quarterback. Back up your truck, your Brinks truck, bring him to your steak dinner, your helicopter, whatever. Get that player in. I said Azeez Ojulari because that's kind of low-hanging fruit. But you got other players out there you can get. Max Crosby's maybe available, right? I mean, that's pie in the sky stuff. But if you want to win now, you need that quarterback on the ground and we don't have that guy. We need that guy right now. By the way, Grady Jarrett, I think he's going to be okay. Went out with an Achilles, right, Andy?
Yeah, I think
they said it was precautionary. He was out. That's big. And they played most of that game without him. So give him credit. That was awesome. Huge win. Huge win today.
Especially just because Dallas needed it too. So you thought that, just the way the NFL works, that Dallas would have.
It definitely felt like the Cowboys were going to win today going into the game. But
and you could hear it on the TV. That's what makes me most sick. Every time Dallas makes a play, it's like they're at home.
Oh, they love them.
That's just the way Atlanta is. There's tons of Dallas fans, tons of Pittsburgh fans, tons of Bear fans in our stadium. It just drives me insane. I hate that.
So if the Cowboys get rid of McCarthy, who do they get? Do you think they go out and get? You think Belichick? Do you think he would go?
Why not?
Because they're not going to
get Jerry Jones. I mean, why not?
Yeah. But is he going to give him full control? Because Belichick's not going to do anything without.
That's a good point.
It won't be Lincoln Riley. I'll tell you that.
Oh God, he's going to be coaching at Texas Tech when they get a new coach. So that's.
Let's transition, Andy, over to the GHSA scoreboard as we approach high school football playoffs in the state.
Yeah, there's a lot of good teams, and number one on that list would be North Oconee. They beat Walnut Grove 68-3 to improve to 10-0. I was hoping Brent was going to be on tonight. I was wanting to see how his son did, but
I talked to him about it a little bit yesterday. He said he played well and raved about Landon Roldan, the Georgia commit, and then another receiver they have as well that was making some plays. So a lot of playmakers on that team.
Yeah. Well, their rival, the Oconee County Warriors, beat Jefferson 32-30 to improve to 6-4. So that's a good win for them. Eddie's favorite team, in which I might have missed the game, Marist beat Tucker 60-22.
Might have. I will correct you. You did miss the game.
Well, I can let you read the text, Dane, and he told me not to come. But they improved to 10-0.
That's not true.
And they won the region. They won the region, right, Eddie?
They did. So anyway, Dane, just to fill you in, our buddy Paul Etheridge, who's the OC at Marist, I went to high school with him. He's been on our show a couple times, and he set us up with tickets to go to Marist and watch the football game on the sidelines and watch them in action. And Paul had to bail last minute. He had something come up, and I texted Andy. I said, I understand if you can't come because it's, hour and a half drive for you?
2 hours.
I totally get it. So anyway, I showed up, saw my boy Paul in action. It was just so cool to be on the sidelines watching them in action, and I played 35 years ago with the same head coach. He's coming up to me and talking to me, but they're over there after the plays going over on the sideline, and they're in a tent and they're watching replays. Boom, 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 right there. Right. Here's what happened. Here's what I'm like, this is ridiculous. We watched the film, that old film where you just you touch a button and it's the reels and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we didn't get that stuff until like Tuesday. It's insane watching these players. They're just so up to speed on what's going on. But Marist is a machine. I mean, they are really, really good, well coached, and they're probably going to win the state championship. They won the region against Tucker and just destroyed them, like you said, Andy. It's really fun.
Yeah. Harrison, where your wife went, they beat Paulding County 38-17 to improve to 9-1. So they're really good. And Clark Central, they beat Winder Barrow 48-8 to improve to 8-2. That's pretty strong. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Buford, that college out there, beat Mill Creek 32-7 to improve to 9-1. So there's a lot of good football teams in the state of Georgia. It's crazy. And these games aren't close. Outside of the Oconee County Jefferson game, all the other games are 3-4 touchdowns at least. So it's crazy. So
Dane, I haven't talked to you about this. Have you kept up with this changing they're going through in 2 years with the competitive balance versus enrollment? Have you looked at any of that, kept up with it?
At a very baseline level. I haven't looked to see specifically how it's going to affect some schools. I've heard some people say that there's some aspect of it that feels like promotion relegation. That's what the competitive balance is going to end up looking like. There's always going to be a financial barrier for travel's sake. Travel's expensive, especially with big rosters. And they tried different versions of this with how you handle Class A. And like Class A public, that in Middle and South Georgia, that's some of the most financially strapped schools that there are. And what you ended up having was them having to travel, 3 and 4 hours to play games, which is not ideal for anybody.
Yeah, that's a long way. Yeah.
Playoffs, fine. Like that happens. Like that's a one-off deal.
Yeah, that's different.
But regular season. I'll be curious to see how it shakes out here. I understand the principle of it. But also I think there's just more ramifications. There's not a one size fits all.
No.
So I'm not giving great analysis here just because I can see both sides very well. Yeah. And I think it depends on which school you're talking about, of whether it's a good or a bad thing.
Yeah.
One thing I know is a good thing is our buddies over at M. Jones Heating and Cooling. Here's our website right here. And that little contact button up at the top right, that's probably going to be the easiest way to let it be where they contact you and be ready for what you have going on, and make sure, man, the temperatures are going to drop here in about 6 weeks. I know it doesn't feel that way here in Georgia, but they will. I promise you that. And you don't want to be caught off guard and have some cold times there. So this is mjoneshvac.com. How about that ad read, fellas?
That's good.
As someone parachuting in here.
Professional job. So
I said I wanted to get to the Atlanta Braves, and we have officially left time on the clock to do that because I found it intriguing. I found it intriguing that the day the season ends, and Freddie Freeman is the World Series champion, and people get to relitigate that, and Chipper Jones is literally just tweeting anyone that wants to talk about Freddie Freeman and the Braves. That the Braves have a move ready to go.
They did.
Wait, before you do, does he have a point though? Do you think Chipper? Because he's basically said all along, if Freddie wanted to be a Brave, he could have been a Brave.
Yeah.
And he's not, right?
Yeah. His point's valid the whole time, but also his point is he's not a Brave anymore, so let it go.
Yeah.
I understand that, but I mean, Freddie coming back here crying like he did and all that crap. I mean, he could have been here if he wanted. He could have told his agent, I want to be a Brave, make it happen. And he didn't do that.
And Chipper warned him that that's how this was going to work out.
He told him, he said, do not play with them because they will have to make a move. He's like, look, you know how I feel about Freddie. Freddie is, to me, he is the next thing to Chipper Jones on my all-time favorite list.
Still?
Well, now he'll be a Hall of Famer too. That's for certain.
He's going to be a Hall of Famer, and he's going to wear a Braves hat. Don't worry about that.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I
don't know. I don't know that I agree with that.
He will retire an Atlanta Brave. He will be back.
It depends how the next 5 years go.
Yeah, exactly. He's got 5 more years to go. There may be 3 or 4 more rings in there.
He's coming back. Don't worry. He will retire an Atlanta Brave. Don't ruin it for me. Shut up. He's going to retire an Atlanta Brave. It's happening. He
may do the Maddox thing where he just doesn't do a hat.
Doesn't do a hat. That's possible. I think he'll do a Brave hat. And I think he will finish it.
He's doing a Dodgers hat.
No, he's not.
Where he wanted to be.
He's not doing a Dodger hat. But
okay.
Anyway, he's going to be an Atlanta Brave. But no, Chipper's right though. If Chipper went in and negotiated the contract, him and his buddy or his agent, and he's like, "Look, I want to be here." Freddie could have done the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know there was some miscommunication. I know his agent was playing ball for himself. That's well documented.
Eventually,
he got fired.
Right?
Yes.
Yep.
But like Chipper said, Freddie signed the paper. He's the one that signed it. You can't do anything without the player's signature. So ultimately, it comes down to Freddie. It sucks, but yeah, it does suck that happened. But hey, let's talk about what these Braves did. How about that?
Did you guys watch any of the World Series? Just curious.
No.
Very little.
But I got to be honest with you. Baseball has turned so regional to me that if it doesn't involve the Braves, it doesn't really pique my interest anymore.
Yeah.
And that's been crazy. It was the iconic sport of my youth.
It was.
It was what everyone automatically played. You could name the roster, at least the starting lineup for most of the teams.
Every school. I mean, every team.
You would be able to do batting stances. And now I work at a college where we teach sports media. I think majority of Major League Baseball players, if they walk through our hall with full uniform on, I don't think our students would know who they were.
No.
Maybe 5 of them.
Yeah. No, it's completely different. I remember being in high school and, you're thinking, okay, the Braves in the offseason can get this guy, that guy, and that guy. And you knew these guys from Kansas City. You knew them from the Seattle Mariners. You knew all these different guys. Now I can't name half the guys, or less than half. I can only name the Braves pretty much. It's crazy how it has changed so much. But
well, okay, let me ask you this, Eddie. because you're way further down along the parenting road than I am. Because I have a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 6-month-old.
Yeah, I'm way ahead of you.
Yeah,
Way ahead of you.
I have reached the stage to where my attention is divided enough that multiple times this year someone was playing for the Braves. I was like, "Who's that guy?" And I look up and they played for him for 6 weeks. And I was like, "Oh, that never happened to the previous version of me." But now it happens. Now, some of that I think is baseball because the team, Georgia, I feel like I know everything what's going on there. The Pelicans in the NBA I keep track of. Top 10 in professional tennis. That's essentially my favorite sport. But for whatever reason, the Braves have not risen to that yet. Did you find that in parenthood, your like sports attention was divided, at least in the stage that I'm at, your sports attention was divided in a way that maybe you weren't as active as a fan as you once were?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I
Okay.
mean, they take your, no doubt. Yeah. And to be fair, to defend what you just said, part of the reason I did the same thing, Dane, and I'm paying 100% attention because my kids are at a 2 to all those ages you just said, right? 27, 24, and 20, right? So I have complete control over what I do during the day. I'm watching the Braves. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Now, that was because we were decimated with injuries, right? And then we were bringing up guys from AAA, AA, single A we'd never heard of or trading for them.
Signing free agents that had just got
exactly. I mean, it's just this year was a patchwork. And you know what? You know what's kind of funny? The way the Braves season went is kind of what we're experiencing with Carson Beck. We're all kind of like, what the hell's going on here? And that's exactly what the Braves did. The year prior, we were setting records with home runs, RBIs, all that kind of stuff. Oh, we'll just replicate it this year. And it went completely in the tank.
Yep.
Right. And that's kind of what Carson Beck is. I mean, you know, he did a great job last year, and now we're like, what the hell's going on here? It's very similar. Andy?
Well, the trade that they made as the season wrapped did trade Jorge Soler, World Series hero for the Braves forever. He has now exited the Braves roster for a second time. Who knows? He may come back and pull. There's so many examples of guys that the Braves.
Jesse Chavez
is the recent one. But this happened with multiple players in past iterations of the Braves. Maybe Soler comes back. Did get Griffin Canning out of it, who was a 5th starter for the Angels. I don't know if that's someone that's going to end up playing for the Braves, but this seemed like a money dump to me.
It was. Yeah. He's getting non-tendered. I'm positive. Well, I say should say positive. I'm 99% sure that they'll non-tender him because he's arbitration eligible. So I don't think he'll ever make a penny for the Braves. But I mean, again, it's a good move because you get rid of Soler, then maybe you go out and you re-sign Max Fried. I don't know. I know Eddie doesn't want Fried to stay. I do. I love the guy, but I think it's a good move. It's a good trade, and I think there's more coming soon. And I think the was it the GM's meetings are in 3 weeks? Is that right, Eddie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
So I think the first week of December, or so maybe 4 weeks. But yeah. So it's
they announced today that they did extend contracts for 2 of the arms on the team. So was this Bummer and then Ronaldo Lopez?
Yeah.
I like both of those. Ronaldo Lopez was fantastic for the Braves.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was awesome. But I actually love that move because we had a log jam. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
A DH, right? Because you got Ozuna. All right. You're going to play Jorge Soler in right field. And then, by the way, Acuna comes back.
Yeah.
He's going to be healthy at some point. He's got to play DH. We're not going to play him in the outfield to start, right? So you got a massive problem there at DH. And what this, I think, leads to is Marcell Ozuna is going to be playing left field for a little while, and I don't like that one bit. But it is what it is.
Unless they trade him too.
You think they trade him too? And Dane, I would not be opposed to that because I think his ceiling was last year. He went bananas. He's not going to replicate that.
His value is never going to the
Exactly. No. I agree with you 100%.
But I do think Acuna will be in right field. I don't think he'll be DH at the beginning of the
Say that again?
Ronald Acuna. I think he'll be in right field. Yeah.
The minute he's ready to play?
I think so.
No way. They're going to DH him. They're going to slow roll him, Andy. That's what
they might
did last year.
I think we will know for sure if they trade Marcell Ozuna or not. If Ozuna stays on the roster, he's not going to be playing left field. So I think he'll be the DH. I think that'll be the telltale sign.
if they can get value for Ozuna, I think that trade could be in play. Because if there's a world where you do re-sign Max Fried, there's a lot of the money right there.
Yeah.
And, they're even talking about Charlie Morton coming back now. They're saying $10 to $15 million for him. Like, I will say this, his stats, he had a low 4 ERA, so it's not terrible. But the man's 43 years old or whatever, 42.
Let's just re-sign Julio Franco and let him play first base.
Bartolo Colon's still pitching somewhere.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, he is.
Exactly.
Yes, I have his bobblehead somewhere over here.
I'm jealous of that one. Bartolo's my favorite.
What does he weigh now? 420?
It doesn't matter. He could still throw strikes.
I guess that's true. It doesn't matter.
I mean, in baseball, especially, it doesn't matter with that.
Oh,
ultimately, the division has gotten much more difficult than when the Braves won the World Series. So their path to a championship is harder than I think we would have thought it would be with this core. Yeah, injuries ravaged the team, but you look at that pitching staff, and you just don't. I wouldn't be very confident in that right now. I'd be confident.
Do they make a big signing? Do they? And I'm talking big signing to me is Willie Adames, Juan Soto, one of those guys, not some guy where we have to look him up on Google and see what he did last year.
We will not get Juan Soto. They're saying he's going to get $600 million.
Whatever.
I'm just saying he's out.
A big signing.
Is there a realistic signing that they could make that you would clarify as bigger than Fried?
Nope.
Or is Fried the big fish for them?
I think Fried is the big fish. You're not going to sign a pitcher better than Max Fried unless they're not going to do it. So, no, Max Fried is the big fish. Do you not agree, Eddie?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, who's your big fish?
I agree with Eddie because it doesn't fit what Anthopoulos does. He tries to find the value on the ends of careers.
Yeah, that's my question to you, Andy. What makes you think Alex Anthopoulos is going to suddenly change everything he's done forever?
I'm not saying he's going to, but I'm saying Max Fried is the big fish. I'm saying he is.
And the way AA does things, he's not going to sign Max Fried.
He may not, but the only thing, you got a lot of money coming off the books. If they re-sign Charlie Morton, I think that tells you right there. If he signs before Max Fried, that tells you he's gone. But if he doesn't, there's a lot of money coming off. So
I don't think he would do Charlie Morton for 15. Hey, look who just popped in here. Brent Rollins. Hey, they wanted an update on your kid at North Oconee.
How did you do?
We did.
Let's see. We just took care of Walnut Grove 68-3.
Yeah.
We know. Yeah.
It was a good day. Carson played probably first quarter and a half, maybe into the little bit in the third quarter. That's about it. Touchdown, saving tackle in the third quarter, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So no, he's doing well and ready for the playoffs. Kind of we have to play for the playoffs now.
Yeah, they're a machine. 68-3, 10-0. That's how did they get so good so quick? That was the crazy thing. It was just like they built the school and they were a powerhouse.
Well, I mean, before Coach Arndt came, so Tyler came, I don't know how many years ago that is now. They were 1-9, I think, the last season before he was there. Like, I remember watching them play Buford that had Isaac Donata, and it was the worst game plan in the history of the world. That it basically ensured that they would be down by 35 points in the first quarter instead of slow playing the game. But outside of that, it's just a lot of pumping into the youth programs. I mean, it's a lot of kids in the school as it is already. And like when I think one of the things that, not to sort of pat myself, but pat our youth program on the back. But so Pollock and I coached the current senior class as well as the junior and sophomore class, like those three classes. And even last year's senior class. So 4 straight classes there where we coached a group. And then a whole other group played through the rec department, through the OCYFL, and it plays all in Northeast Georgia. So you had all those years growing up, a bunch of kids who played a bunch of different places. So you had a lot more in football. So like the last year's senior class had, 30 something kids. Now this year's senior class, it's dwindled down, I think even into single digits. It was just a rough class talent wise. But the junior class, they have like 35 kids in the junior class.
Wow.
Almost the entirety of their team is the junior class. Now you do that, plus you add the fact that there's a now Georgia committed wide receiver.
Right.
There's a junior wide receiver, by the way, who's almost as good. Like, is a 10-500 kid, and is going to be getting offers big time. Dallas Dickerson, like, he's a big time player. Made an amazing play early in the game the other day. There's a kid that transferred in from East Jackson. That's a slot kid. That's a 4-4 kid.
Wow.
And you got Kamari Brooks. That's a 2026 edge who's 6'4", 225. He played basketball for me and football growing up, like just a super smart kid, but really athletic. Now has Georgia, Bama, LSU, all those kind of offers. So
That's awesome.
It's a lot of talent. Now, the thing we don't have is we don't have a lot of just, we don't have the 6'4", 260 across the line. Like we're kind of 215, 220 in a lot of places, but just really good players. Really, the key, I think, is just really solid everywhere. No minuses, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
All right, before you wrap the show, Dayne, I've got to ask Brent this question.
Yeah.
Should Kirby Smart have benched Carson Beck yesterday and allowed Gunnar Stockton to play a few downs? Yes or no?
No, I don't.
No?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think he's shown that correctly, maybe, I think, with the current one and his personality and whatnot, that he just needs to play, and you just gotta. He's the guy. He's gonna play, and whatever happens.
Does that speak
basically
more to the fact that Gunnar Stockton is not ready, or more to the fact that Carson Beck is going to be hurt mentally by that?
I don't know that I would trust Gunnar Stockton to go in and
So he's not ready.
Honestly,
Okay.
Your offense comes. It's a different game. It's a short passing game. It's RPOs. It's running game centric. It's a little bit of QB run. It's completely different from what you're doing right now. He's not. I don't think he's a drop back and just let him rip all over the place kid.
Right.
I think there's a defined line of differentiation between the two.
Okay.
Andy, one thing about Oconee County, you
the
had
body
asked.
language part, and I think I heard.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Wasn't good.
Not good. Not good.
Wasn't good. A lot of prescriptions were being written by the body language doctors out there.
I'll just add quickly, Andy, just about Oconee County. Its population just has increased a lot in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And I would say that it's a trajectory to continue to do that over the next 10 years. And so both Oconee and North Oconee have benefited, and Prince as well.
Yeah.
Prince is right there too.
So yeah, I think that's a lot of it, just that you just get a higher volume, but then a higher quality of
players. Yeah. Talent
they won the state championship in basketball last year in boys basketball. And I think 10 years ago that would have been unfathomable.
They're great in girls volleyball as well. My niece played high school volleyball, and they lost to Oconee. So
girls soccer, I have students that do work with them every season, and they
tennis, girls tennis. Yeah.
Golf team is great. Yeah.
I have a picture on my phone of our 6th grade basketball team. So there's my son, who I think still has, my younger son. I think he still has a chance. Like, he's got a chance to do something in baseball. Then there's Pollock's kid, and then Justin Wise, who already holds offers from Georgia and Auburn in basketball. Kamari Brooks, who I just mentioned, that holds offers in football from Georgia and LSU and Bama. Tyler Ford, who is a sophomore right tackle starting at Gainesville, is 6'6", 320, and has offers from every SEC program. And then our six man other starter on that team is a current two-way starter on North's football team that could play at a place like Valdosta or Georgia State or someplace like that, or lower level non-Power 4. And then our 6 man on that team, 6 and 7 man on that team is a current SEC type commit baseball player. So when they're good pretty young, and it.
Yeah.
And they end up being good as teenagers and high school kids.
Hey, we'll wrap with this real fast because I want to rev up the hype machine for you, Eddie and Andy. Brent, tell them which you told me and Coach Donnan yesterday before the show, in 20 years of living up here, the optimism.
I've never seen a more talented Georgia basketball team. I am straight.
Really?
Giddy,
Oh yeah, you were there, right? You
about
were there?
Georgia basketball.
Yep,
I am.
yep.
Oh my! And I'm like insane.
This isn't illegitimate hype
analyzing basketball.
for a change. No.
This is if they don't make the tournament, I'm going to be mad. Like it's injuries. It's something completely non-talent related because, like, Surreal, by the way, is how they pronounce his name. I didn't realize that. Santo.
Oh yeah, surreal. No kidding.
You've never seen a play? He's Dwight Howard with George Pickens' face. Like in terms of body style, quick jump ability, turn, dunk, like head above the rim, way above the rim. He tried to block a shot. By the way, his head was at the top of the square. Like just insane athleticism. Asa Newell is all of that and more as a 6'9" guy.
Stop it. Stop it. You're getting me all excited about Georgia basketball.
We're going to miss the tournament now.
Yeah, I know.
I will talk. They're 10 deep. And the only non-athletic guy is the backup big man, 25, Asman. He's not overly athletic, but he's a 6'9" guy who's a big body, and he actually would shoot threes, and it makes open threes.
Really?
I am.
Tuesday night, boys.
Because trust me, I've been going to basketball games. Like it was $2 tickets when I was a grad student.
Oh yeah,
we went all the time, and I would usually go to watch the other team or watch Dennis Felton stomp on the floor, or stuff like that. But no, it's legit. They are talented.
And with that hype train rolling, we have to get out of here because Film Don't Lie has to begin right now. Eddie, Andy, thanks for letting me hop on and hang out with y'all.
Thank you so much.
This has been the Peach State Power Hour. Stay tuned for Film Don't Lie here on UGAsports.com.